I do not have time in this film review to get to a proper historical segment, but what I'm going to do instead is talk about what I really want to talk about, and that is the chillest animal on this planet. Capybaras. It's one of my greatest dreams if I come into fortune to own a herd of capybaras and be a capybara fellow. But until then, I'll have to settle for 3 fun facts. Credit to Treehugger for the facts and the channel Calming Relaxation for the footage. Fact 1. Capybaras have 2 long front teeth. Like other rodents, these teeth never stop growing. Their incisors are strong and chisel-like, highly effective at cutting through grass. To keep their teeth a reasonable length, capybaras wear them down by grinding on bark. Their molars keep growing throughout their life, but wear down from the constant grinding capybaras do to masticate their greens. Fact 2. Capybaras are autocoprophagous, meaning they eat their feces to get the most nutrition out of every meal. This practice, which they participate in each morning, provides them with the bacterial flora essential to proper digestion. Because the grasses they consume are hard to digest, this process allows their bodies another chance to absorb the previous day's fibrous meal. And fact 3. Sometimes referred to as nature's ottoman, capybaras have developed a reputation as being a nice place to take a load off. They have a mutualistic relationship with birds like the yellow-headed caracara, who feed on insects from the rodent's back while the rodent benefits from getting rid of the pesky bugs. Now to the review, but before that, let me get to the drink I'm drinking so that I can talk in front of a camera. The drink this week is P. Terry's Lemonade. Now, if you're not from Austin, let me tell you, this is the crack that runs the entire city. If you haven't been to P. Terry's, that sucks for you, and if you're not in Austin, then you don't get it, man. This P. Terry's Lemonade is quite refreshing in the summer or the winter, because it's winter time and I decided to have it. It's very lovely, very fresh. You know, it's a little treat for when you are down in the dumps and very stressed out like I am today. Cheers. Wow, really good. Cat is a solitary animal, but as its home is devastated by a great flood, he finds refuge on a boat populated by various species and will have to team up with them despite their differences. Animation as a medium has been getting its flowers more and more, and maybe one day older audiences will respect it in the same way they respect film. People my age already get the deal, and I think it has something to do with the worldwide influence we get from internet access at a young age. In Hollywood, animation is still clearly a commodity for kids. That's how they make their money, and they'll continue to make money that way because they make a lot of money. Other countries don't see animation that way, though, and you can tell they have plenty more respect for the art form. This film is beautiful from start to finish, a glorious triumph of epic storytelling and a powerful study of nature in the coming climate crisis. It comes from Latvian director Gins Zivalotis, who piques my interest not just because of his name, although now that I know it I do want to see his directorial debut away, but mostly because he's Eastern European. I don't know if y'all know anything about the film industry over there, but it's pretty damn good, and if it's shipped out to international audiences, that is already a good sign. It doesn't disappoint. The direction is confident and fluid, using long take shots to build a sense of tension and to show the scale of the situation. It's going to sound like a strange comp, but it reminds me a lot of Lubezki's work in The Revenant, in the same way it uses muted colors and its attention to the scenery. And the tone was consistent and the pacing never dropped for a second. It's the first time I've seen this style of animation used in a feature film personally, although it has a striking resemblance to many of the indie games that I've played in my life. Mostly Abzu and everything else that company's been a part of. It doesn't always have the strongest attention to detail, but it's incredibly well done for the budget they're given. They found creative ways to work around that, and the use of lighting and delicate attention to the area made for some astounding visual effects, really some of the best I've seen in the medium. Moments where you zoom out the camera and you can see the scale of what these animals are dealing with, it makes you lift up your chest a little bit in the theater in awe. Speaking of creative ways to work around things, I think it's famous at this point that this film doesn't have a single line of dialogue. It's what drew it to me, quite frankly, because just the idea of trying to tackle something like this opens the gateway of creativity and makes the writers build interesting characters and situations. I'd like to share a film quote that many people have heard by one of the greatest working directors today, and that is Denis Villeneuve. "Dialogue is for theater and television. I don't remember movies because of a good line, I remember movies because of a strong image. I'm not interested in dialogue at all. Pure image and sound, that is the power of cinema, but it is something not obvious when you watch movies today." Now, I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment, but I do think it's relevant to this film. The screenwriting is phenomenal because they have to be more subtle in setting a scene. It's a simple story on paper, but it's one executed to the highest degree because it places an emphasis on the natural instincts of the animals it's trying to depict, and building off them in a way that feels real and exciting. Each of these characters were really well developed, showing interesting personalities and lovely interactions. They're archetypal, sure, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing when it comes to a story that is clearly taking from classical epics and biblical events. There's a particular scene with a bird and a cat, and I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen it, but I found it particularly engaging because I didn't necessarily know what the story was trying to say. It was abstract, and it caused me to go down a Reddit rabbit hole because I was upset that I was confused about it, and I don't normally get confused in films anymore. Turns out nobody really knows right now, which helps my ego. There's quite a few different theories, and they all have some form of merit. But what I love about that is no one summarily dismisses the scene for being confusing. Even though it feels like it comes out of nowhere a little bit, because of the build-up the rest of the film received, the moment is still incredibly emotionally powerful. The music was also unbelievably well done. The film had many instances without sound in the story, so the composer had ample opportunity to share the emotional burden. They do that, and then some. Its score gave the movie an added layer of scale, elevating the film from its smaller cast and taking cues from the animals to flesh out their emotional turmoil. It was in many cases desolate, haunting, vulnerable, striking, and hopeful. Just an amazing array of emotions on display here. It's hard to understate how much of an emotional impact this movie had on me. I was sunk into my chair at the end of it, jaw dropped and everything. There's an end credit scene at the end of it, apparently, which I missed, so I'm gonna kill myself. And also, I hate to state the obvious, but I'm a cat owner, so I'm destined to come out of this movie impressed. I never expected to give this out, but after thinking, would I regret giving this movie my top score? And the answer is almost certainly no. So I'll give this movie a golden turtle, and I'm very excited to do so. Please check it out if you can. I know it's a small one, so it could be hard to do so. But that's the end of my review. I hope you guys are having a stellar weekend, and if you don't have a cat, I highly suggest buying a cat. Or 2 cats. I can't take care of 2 cats because I'm broke, obviously, because I'm doing this. But I have 1 cat, and she's evil and she hates me, but she loves me at the same time, and sometimes she lays down on me and we sleep together. So it's a win-win. It's very good. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me, and so please have a lovely evening and enjoy living life because it could be over at any time.